Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Football Stooges. Sorry about the pace that they're currently being released. Some of our podcast YouTube videos. We've been a busy group as of recently. I've been across the country a few times now, and a lot of sleepless nights. So this episode could be good, could be bad, could be hot shit. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And we have a smaller cast today. We are down from 5 to 3 just for this week, hopefully. So some people out of town and at a hockey game an hour and a half away from probably a Blackhawks game. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I am obviously the host of Football Stooges, but I could not do it without any of the people, even if it's not all 5. And as always, he's been here every single time, hasn't missed a single episode, the one and only destroyer of Yinglings himself, Mastodon.
MLB opening day. But the Phillies fucking lost. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Shut the fuck up.
What?
Wait, did Boston lose? Oh, let me check.
We lost. We rallied in the 9th and then fucking lost. It's almost as if we should have been working on the pitching all off season.
And as you can hear, who's also here, the resident fan of any New England/Boston team, it's K-Duff.
And also a fucking bandwagon fan for Tampa Bay just because Brady was on it.
Oh yeah, so was every New England fan. Those were some of your worst years in the recent 20-some years. So
I honestly didn't even know we were doing the NFC South. I just put this on because it was comfy.
There you go. There you go. I mean, yeah. It is pretty comfy when you have the best tight end and quarterback of all time playing on the same team. So
all right.
Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start with the XFL. As you also heard, we're going to do a NFC South divisional wrap up. We're going to dive into those teams with their cap space, how they did in the season, what they're going to do in the offseason, what they've already done in the offseason. We'll also give you a quick update to keep you up to speed with the last 2 weeks of the NFL free agency. We gave an update last week. And then we did a really big update during the first bit of free agency 2 weeks ago. So if you haven't been caught up to all the free agency news, go ahead and look at that. But first, I'd like to start out and say the Washington Commanders have actually received a bid for over $6 billion. That's a billion with a B. B as in boy. $1 billion from a group of investors. The headliner of them is Magic Johnson from the NBA. If you do not know who that is. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
It's that's about the same price as they've been going for. I mean, Dan Snyder bought the team in the 90s for what, $800 million? So inflation, that kind of puts it up there. I mean, the Waltons bought the Broncos last year for 4.6. So do I think Washington's about the same price for that? Not really, but I mean, I don't fucking know about that.
You're probably going to have to, as an owner, try to get a new field, or at least massive renovations to the stadium. There's talks about them moving to Arlington, Virginia, which I think having the Virginia Volunteers be a team and restart with colors and branding and everything would be great, because obviously you had to move on from the Redskins. There was a lot of implications behind that.
Yeah. Hail to the Deadskins.
Yeah, they had to move on from that, and they didn't keep the logo, which, okay, you had to completely move on, and then they decided to go with Washington football team for a year. It shouldn't take a year for you to come up with a football team's name, and it shouldn't also take you a year to come up with that, or 2 years to come up with that shitty of a name, the Commanders. Really?
I honestly kind of like it. I mean, it's better than some of the other suggestions they had, like Red Wolves for that. I mean, what does that have to do with DC?
Hogs will have been the best
Hogs.
name, because
Hogs would have been better, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the Washington Hogs, dude. Like, that would have been. It would have nodded to their history. It would have been a great way to change things, and it would have also kept the same color scheme. And you could throw, a pig on throwing the pigskin. There'd be so many pig puns being thrown out there.
Oh, yeah.
The Hogs rolling around in the mud at FedEx Field. It's probably shit.
Playing around with pigskin as well.
Based on like the fan base in the stands, they were like called the Hogs.
Yeah.
Like, there you go. The only thing I care about, as long as they still suck. That's the only thing I care.
Of course.
I mean, I hope if this group of investors takes over them and it's headed by Magic Johnson, I hope they move and I hope they change their color scheme.
The group is also the same type of group that owns the 76ers in the NBA and the Devils in the NHL, as it turns out. So
that's right.
Devils
I think
Devils are all right. And then the 76ers have made some weird moves, but that's like GM wise. They also had Doc Rivers as a coach, which is bad.
Also reading through this, there seems to be a couple other bidders here. We've got a Canadian billionaire, and this is a hell of a Greek name, Steve Apostolopoulos, also for a $6 billion offer. NBA's Houston Rockets owner, Tillman Fertitta. Am I pronouncing that right? Fertitta? He also announced an interest in it. And then there's another anonymous one that toured the group's facilities.
The owner of the Rockets needs to fix his Rockets team first because they've had the worst record in the NBA probably going on 2 years now. They won 13 games out of 82 last year. You need to focus on what you need to focus on first. So,
funny enough, speaking of worst teams in the NBA, apparently Apostolopoulos had also looked into buying the Charlotte Hornets.
Well, yeah, Jordan's selling the Hornets because he can't deal with mediocrity anymore, and he can't come back at this age.
Speaking of all-time greats in ownership, we finally know also what the rumors about Brady going to Las Vegas were about. He has acquired a minor stake in ownership of the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA championships with Mark Davis. So that answers that question about what that was about.
Interesting. Do you think if the Canadian billionaire gets the bid on the team, do you think he'll move them to a Canadian city? Do you think that's a possibility? Because if there's one Canadian team and they play in the capital, you could call them like the Carolina Panthers, right? The Carolinas Panthers, they play for both Carolinas. They're both Carolinas teams, right? Or New England, they play for a handful of states. Vermont, Connecticut, basically Massachusetts, Maine, those states, New England. So you could move them from Washington to Ottawa, or you could even do Montreal, Toronto, whatever, Vancouver even, if you wanted. And you could call them the Canadian Commanders.
That actually would fit for the alliteration.
Yeah, and it would also be, now, the NFL would be an international game, technically, even though it's only one other country, but that's the same way with baseball and hockey.
And then it would make actual sense calling a team with the world champions when they only play in America.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I would think they would need to change their colors, probably to something that closer resembles maybe red and white. I think, are there really any red and white teams in the NFL, or is it just
Kansas City?
Kansas City.
Yeah.
49ers
I just 90% finished that mini of painting.
49ers also, I think they're away to it's either their away or their home uniforms that have white and red.
They're gold reddish. I mean,
there's not many issues when you see the colors between, if the Niners and Chiefs play. There's not many, like, I can't tell who's on whose team,
In the comics, they also sort of like red.
That means we got to start singing the Canadian national anthem before every game, along with the American national anthem, right? That's what they do in baseball and hockey.
As a Bruins fan, I do that all the time anyway. Whenever we play like the Canadiens or the Canucks.
Well, if it's like the Bruins versus the Coyotes, either place, do they still sing the Canadian national anthem too?
No. It's only when it's Canadian American.
Oh, okay. So does that mean if the Senators play the Canadians, there's no American national anthem?
Correct.
No.
Okay, interesting.
There's no.
Interesting. Okay, but yeah,
I'm just thinking of, like, you're moving a team that's been in that area since the 30s.
Yeah, it's been the 30s since Preston Marshall moved him out of Boston, actually, as it turns out.
They have had probably one of the worst tenures of any NFL team. They have how many Super Bowls to show for it?
I mean, they had
one of the worst, not the worst. If we're saying the worst, the Bengals and Browns and Texans are up there.
True.
Washington has 2 or 3 Super Bowls.
I think they have 3. I mean, that's how Doug Williams became a Hall of Famer. So
yeah. Wouldn't you want to start over and stop being known as the team that was like formerly the Redskins and also plays at FedEx Field in an area that you're not able to expand? In a city that is, constantly your fan base is starting to plummet every year. Like, yeah, it's hard to move them out of there, but at the same time, I
think it's less of the area for fans going away and more of Dan Snyder himself.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, I see some like forum stuff, they're like, Snyder's gone, we'll come back. That's the big thing. Like, it's Snyder.
Yeah.
It's a Washington football team, man. The good sports in Washington is hockey. Ovechkin can't be stopped.
Only one. Like, you got Washington got bounced so many times by Pittsburgh
Yeah.
for how
Yeah.
many years? Hey, this is from a Flyers fan that hates the Penguins.
I'm I'm not a fan of the Capitals. I like Ovechkin. I think he's probably solidifying his position as second best hockey player of all time. I think he's either there or close to there.
First ballot Hall of Famer, no matter
He's
what.
definitely first ballot. One of the best of all time.
Best of all time is Gretzky. That's that is the most unarguable thing in any sport ever. You can argue LeBron or Jordan, you can argue Jerry Rice or Tom Brady. You can't argue Wayne Gretzky or the next guy.
Never.
No,
I think what they're gonna say for Ovechkin is basically the best player at his position in hockey. Not like best player ever in hockey, but he's
a wing?
He's a winger, if I remember right.
No, he's not left wing. He's a right wing, isn't he?
I thought he was right wing. Somebody look it up.
He shoots right, so it's probably gonna be left
right wing. Or
he is a left winger.
Yeah, because he
goes toward the middle of the ice. Yeah.
But
no, I have a my cousin actually works at the Let me grab it. I'll grab it. Give me 1 second. Sure. That's the wrong camera.
Oh, why'd you just hit me?
Whoops. Rip. Because I'm trying to remember if he's kind of considered like a defenseman either, or
well, if he's a winger, he's definitely a forward.
Okay, yeah, okay. Because I would say it's like and because Gretzky wasn't what was he, center? Fuck.
I think he was center. I don't know. I mean, by the time I was starting to get into hockey when I was younger, he was already retired. So
true, but I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to remember some positions. Yeah, he was center. Gretzky was center. And so because they're gonna say like Zdeno Chara is like one of the best defensemen of all time.
Damn straight he is.
No, he was good.
Adam Deadmarsh was a lot better. All right.
So what have you got to show us?
This is a plaque that has
if only the camera could pick it up.
Yep. This is a plaque that up here in the top right has a piece of the net from January 10th, 2016, when Alex Ovechkin scored his 500th career goals at the Ottawa Senators Verizon Center. And then in the bottom left, it has the piece of net from November 19th, 2015, when Alexander Ovechkin scored his 484th career goal against Dallas Stars at Verizon Center. And this was his 500th career NHL goal, and the 484th, when he did it against Dallas, was the most by any Russian-born player. As you can see, right.
I can't see. Your camera doesn't want
to pick it up. That fucks up the camera.
Right there.
Gotta love
That's actually pretty cool.
That is his signature, yes. So I think Ovechkin is amazing. I think he's probably, in my opinion, he's the second best hockey player of all time. I don't think Crosby comes close enough. I don't think Orr can be stretched that far.
Bobby Orr.
You got to tread very carefully saying shit like that.
Yeah, you got to tread carefully with the Bobby Orr, and also, I'm trying to remember some of the names from the Flyers in the 70s.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any memorabilia. Oh, you know what I do have? I have no idea where it is, but I do know that I have like a vial of dirt from the track at Fenway, from the playoff game where Big Papi hit that grand slam and sent Torrey Hunter into the bullpen.
Holy shit!
It's an iconic. It's like one of the most iconic moments in Red Sox history of all time.
One of my good buddies I know, actually. I was sadly up at his house up in the East Coast after his dad had passed, but his dad he was a big Dolphins fan. He had 2 signed footballs at Dan Marino.
Oh, very nice.
A signed rookie OBJ poster. A signed Peyton Manning mini helmet. A couple things. It was pretty cool. And then my uncle, actually, who's a big Michigan fan, found a Tom Brady rookie card, 2 of them, when he was cleaning out his basement. Both of them were signed. He sent them in for grading. They were graded as mint condition. Currently worth about $3,000 a piece.
Oh, damn.
So he's probably going to wait until Tom Brady goes in the Hall of Fame and then sell those, which is going to up the value.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Anyway, enough of the enough of the shits and giggles. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of it all, the XFL, starting out with Seattle and Orlando.
Orlando
first
Congratulations
game.
Congratulations on your
Orlando
free win, by the way.
It really wasn't free. We didn't look good to start out, but we got it together. Seattle wins. Yeah, I did too. Seattle win the game 26-19. Seattle's now 4-2 in the season. Orlando is an abysmal 0-6. They have lost to every team except for the final two teams that they will play this year. Anyway, starting it out for Seattle, Ben DiNucci, 18 for 35 for 177. 5.1 average, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, only sacked once. He also was the leading rusher, 6 carries for 43 yards. He was followed by Bradwell, 12 for 32, and TJ Hammonds 2 for 3. For receiving, Blake Jackson, 6 for 79 and 1 touchdown. Juwan Green, 5 for 50 and 1 touchdown. Jordan Vasey, 2 for 22. Ja'Cour Pearson, 4 for 18. David Willis, 1 for 8. And at the very bottom, Josh Gordon, 0 for 0 with 2 targets. I mean, I don't know if there was some... Yeah, I don't know if there was some lockup defense or if he's just on too much of the devil's lettuce, but something's going on.
Game fucking sucked.
Yeah, the game sucked. There were no interceptions. No interceptions caused by Seattle, and they were able to fumble. They were able to force one fumble and recover it. Moving on to the Guardians, they did not play Paxton Lynch, so good on them. They sided with Quentin Dormandy. He went 24 for 44 for 243, a 5.5 average, no picks, no touchdowns, and 2 sacks. Then Devin Darrington, 7 carries, 82 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Quentin Dormandy also ran for 43 yards and 5 carries. And then Jermaine Martin, 10 carries, 37 yards. For receiving, Corey Latimer, 5 for 59. Charleston Rambo, great name, 6 for 54. Yeah, Daniel Williams, 5 for 46. Eli Rogers, 3 for 40. Devin Darrington, 1 for 13. Jermaine Martin, 1 for 11. Andrew Jamel, 1 for 10. And Dedrick Thomas, 2 for 10. As far as defense goes, they were not able to cause any fumbles. They were able to get 1 interception. And it looks like, as far as the sacks, they only had 1 for 3 yards. So it was a very just, sadly, bleh game. It did not really go well for either team. They both kind of played kind of mediocre, and the more mediocre team ended up like winning because the Guardians are mediocrity. They're bad. They just suck.
You maybe call it looking past your opponent that almost cost Seattle a win, or like the Pittsburgh Steelers do a lot. But
yeah, isn't Hines Ward the coach of Orlando?
No,
I think it's.
I don't know actually.
I thought he's San Antonio.
He is San Antonio. Yes, it's not Orlando. But yeah, Orlando cannot get it going. They there's the final plays of the game where they were trying to get something going. Seattle would blitz every time, and their line could not pick up. They could only block maybe 4 or 5 guys. They could not block anyone over that. So that anytime a blitz happened, it was immediate pressure on the quarterback. There was nothing that could be done.
Just going back to real quick, I just looked it up. He's the head coach of the Brahmas, actually.
Yes.
San Antonio. Yeah.
So a kind of sloppy, just meh game, but Seattle City Guardians advanced to 4-2, and the Guardians are still winless. How many more weeks do we have? Because we are looking at week 7.
Or there's 10 regular season games.
So we're already past the halfway point.
Yeah.
Yep.
They have the chance to be the first 0-10 team in the XFL. So keep it up, Orlando.
So it looks like only the top 4 teams are getting in, so the bottom 4 teams are not. And then it's basically a 4-team playoff. 1 championship round and then the championship. 1 divisional championship and then the championship. So the bottom 4 teams will be eliminated. So it looks like as of now, that would be Orlando, San Antonio, Arlington, and Vegas.
Yep.
That would
actually, for divisions, it'll be Seattle and Vegas is the last 2 in the division, so they'll be out. And then San Antonio, Orlando in the Southern Division would be out.
So it would, right now, if the playoffs were to start today, it would be Houston versus Arlington and St. Louis versus DC.
So for your Sea Drags to make it in, the Battlehawks need to lose a lot of their next few games.
Wow, that's rough. Because
That's a
honestly,
top-heavy
these are
division.
3 of the worst teams in the league, and Vegas, like, obviously is bad, so they shouldn't get in. But also, like, I would take the Sea Dragons over the Renegades. I think that's
Yeah,
gonna
the
be.
Renegades are going to sneak in like the fucking Dolphins did it in the NFL.
Oh goodness.
Divisions.
It's what are you gonna
Divisions.
do? What are you gonna do? Gotta win your important games.
Yep.
All
Mm.
right. Moving on to the next game. This was played at 7 p.m. on Saturday. The St. Louis Battlehawks traveled into Vegas and wow, 29-6, the final score. St. Louis advancing to 4-2, Vegas falling to 1-5. An amazing day again for AJ McCarron. Still, I think for the majority of people here, if not everyone, a favorite, and the Football Stooges' favorite. Put the stamp on it for XFL MVP. AJ McCarron, 23 for 29, 236, 8.1 average, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 32-yard longest pass, and took 3 sacks. He also ran for 18 carries on 18 yards on 4 carries. Brian Hill, the other leading rusher, 13 carries and 62 yards. For receiving, Darius Shepard, 7 for 79 and 2 touchdowns. George Campbell, 3 for 54 and no touchdowns. Akeem Butler, 5 for 36. Brian Hill, 4 for 29. Austin Prohl, 2 for 28. And then Stephen Mitchell, 1 for 6. And Gary Jennings, 1 for 4. Their defense was not able to cause any fumbles, but they got 2 interceptions and caused 4 sacks. So a pretty good day for their defense. For the Vipers offense, their quarterbacks were split between Luis Perez and Brent Hundley. Perez went 14 for 21 for 104, a 5-yard average, and had 2 picks and 2 sacks. Then Brent Hundley came in. He went 50%, 9 for 18 for 120 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and 2 sacks. For rushing, John Lovett, 6 carries, 19 yards. Rod Smith, 5 for 15. And then Brent Hundley, 1 for 5. And Luis Perez, 1 for 4. Receiving, John Levitt, 3 for 44 and 1 touchdown. Jeff Bidet, 4 for 34. Davis Bryant, 3 for 30. Cameron, is that Cameron Sutton? That name sounds familiar.
That can't be that Cam Sutton.
That can't be.
No, that can't. No, it's not.
There's no way. Cam Sutton, 2 for 27. Cinque Sweetening, 3 for 23. DeAndre Torrey, 3 for 23. Rod Smith, 1 for 20. Geronimo Allison, 2 for 13. And Sean Prince, 2 for 10. Their defense.
Holy shit, it is that Cam Sutton. I pulled up his database. It's a picture of him as a Seahawk.
Wow.
Oh,
really?
I'm thinking of someone else. Okay.
Cam Sutton. Okay. No turnovers forced for Vegas, and they were only able to get 3 sacks in total.
Also, guess what? Vegas just traded.
Oh, they did trade Luis Perez.
They traded Luis Perez to Arlington.
I guess they're rolling with Brent Hundley.
Hundley didn't throw any picks, and he threw a touchdown.
True.
So in this game, he looked better. He also threw 40% or 50%, while Perez threw a bit over. But
maybe it's a good thing Gorlami couldn't make it tonight. Otherwise, he'd be like taking this loss out on his liver again.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, but it is a struggling Vegas team versus St. Louis team that's pretty
really
well complete. Good. Yeah. They're looking good. They've had a couple hiccups, but again, AJ McCarron's playing great. Their defense is looking good. And, they went into the shittiest stadium in football history, maybe besides FedEx, and did really well. So,
thank you.
Yeah. I was got to mention to the other NFC East fan that, yes, it's a FedEx Field sucks.
Apparently, MetLife has also redone their turf recently, too.
Yeah, there's some complaints about MetLife.
Yeah, it's weird. All right, let's go ahead and move on from that game. We're going to go ahead and scroll up. Oh, I went too far. There we go. And now we're looking at San Antonio goes to play Arlington. San Antonio actually gets the win here, 15-9. They advance to 2-4, while the Arlington Renegades fall to 500 at 3-3. The game was also in Arlington at Choctaw Stadium. For the Brahmas, Jwason Pass was the leading passer. Again, this is only, in total for the team, 9 for 20 completion and attempts for 59 yards. Yeah. Jwason Pass, 8 for 14, 57 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 2 sacks. And then Kurt Bankert, 1 for 6 for 2 yards. His average pass was 0.3 yards, and he threw 1 pick. I didn't think Paxton Lynch could be outdone in levels of suckiness, but holy.
I mean, he went He went to UVA, so yeah.
Oh, shots. The leading, 59 yards of total passing, 111 yards of total rushing. The other thing is no touchdowns passing, no touchdowns rushing. And then if you look at defense.
So what were their points then? Just all kicks?
Wait a minute.
One defensive touchdown.
Oh, shit.
So they only had one defensive touchdown, and the rest of them were kicks. So they had one touchdown, and then they had one kick in the first quarter and two kicks in the fourth to give them 15 points.
My God.
Yeah. So rushing, let's go back here. Jacques Patrick, 15 for 82. Juwan Pass, 4 for 21. Kurt Benkart, 2 for 5. And John Haleman, 3 for 3. For receiving, Landon Akers.
So I was thinking someone else, but it's like, okay, it's Kurt Benkert, because I saw him on talking to like Tom Grossi a couple times since he was on the Green Bay Packers practice squad before. I was thinking a different name, but still.
It's a bit more.
Like, God damn.
Kurt Benkart did fumble the ball. He was able to recover some fumble, however. Receiving, Landon Akers, 2 for 24. TJ Vanisher, 1 for 22. Jacques Patrick, 3 for 18. John Hillman, 1 for 2. There is a guy here, Fred Brown, 2 receptions, -7 yards. How did this team win?
I don't know. Let's find out. Who was that man that got...
Yeah, 1 interception run back for a touchdown, as well as 1 forced fumble that they recovered, and they had 3 sacks. So their defense didn't show up.
Who was that masked man that got the touchdown?
The masked man that got the touchdown. Scroll back up here. Defense. The interception belonged to Tenny Adewuji. Adewuji.
Is that an L or an I? I can't tell.
That's an I. Adewuji. Tenny Adewuji. Sounds like looks kind of like Chidobe Awuzie. So, but yeah, 1 interception, run back for a touchdown. So
nice.
Or what?
Or was it run back? Wait a second.
Not run back for a touchdown. Was it the fumble recovery?
So
what?
Wait, so were there no touchdowns?
There was one defensive touchdown. So
hold on.
The interception was not run back for a touchdown. So it was a fumble recovery touchdown, which means it was Jordan Williams who had the fumble recovery.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So there we go. Now, this team should have lost by their offensive performance. 59 total passing yards, 111 total rushing yards. We got to look at the even...
It makes me wonder how badly did...
Yeah, and there's not many bad stats here, honestly. I think they just weren't able to punch the ball in. For the Renegades, their starting quarterback was Drew Plitt, 10 for 16, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and 2 sacks for 11 yards. Cal Soltler, 6 for 13, 22 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks, and 1 sack. For rushing, Davion Smith, 10 carries, 42 yards. Laddie Brown, 11 for 38. Then for receiving, Devon Smith, 4 for 49. Javon Payton, 2 for 43. Brandon Acronato, 3 for 26. Caleb Vander Esch, 1 for 26. LeJuan Whittington, 1 for 16. Laddie Brown, 1 for 12. Nate Becker, 1 for 8. And Saul Canella, 2 for 5. Isn't there a... Saul Canella sounds familiar. But I'm not from football. It sounds like a baseball player's name.
Back to Google.
I'm looking up.
But 185 total yards of passing and 79 total of rushing seemed decent. And they had 1 fumble lost by Drew Plitt. Their defense forced 1 interception, no fumbles recovered, and they had 2 sacks for a total of 8 negative yards for the Vipers. Wow. The Brahmas really tried to hand this game to the Renegades, and the Renegades would not take it.
Yeah.
They would not take it. They would not take it at all.
I've honestly got no words.
Me neither. I don't know what Arlington was doing. They had the opportunity to advance to a better record, and they didn't. So yeah, rough stuff for Arlington. They had an opportunity to really capitalize on a lot of things. They didn't take that opportunity, and they were able to hand over a win to one of the worst teams in this league right now. So you got to win the games that you are predicted to win, and got to win the games that you were given the opportunity to win. They did neither, and they're now walking away at 500. Not a good place to be more than halfway through the season.
It just shows you give those suckish teams an inch, they'll take a mile.
Yeah. Slowly and surely, like a snail.
Now, for teams that aren't suckish, my
Oof.
DC Defenders
Oh, this
And-
game
against the
Alright.
Roughnecks.
was
This one,
beautiful.
I would say
Oh
the
my
only
God.
thing that made me kind of like not turn off the game, but like with some of the stuff that was iffy was Houston shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. They
Oh,
had
yeah,
some
they were
stupid penalties they were doing.
I honestly think
Yes.
the
Oh my
Dallas Cowboys
God.
had more discipline than Houston's defense did. But my boy Jordan Teyamu, he had his coming out party tonight.
Yeah.
That night it was chef's kiss. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Wade Phillips and the Houston Roughnecks traveled to DC in Audi Field to play the Defenders. They end up losing 26-37, the final score. Roughnecks fall to 4-2. DC Defenders stay undefeated, 6-0. They are the team to beat by far. The Lemons sure are helping them. Let's start with the Roughnecks. Brandon Silvers, 10 for 17, 111 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 sacks. Cole McDonald, 8 for 11, 194, 1 touchdown, no picks, no sacks. For rushing, Cole McDonald also was their leading rusher, 37 yards and 6 carries and 1 touchdown. Max Borghi also 11 carries for 25 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Bryson Line, 1 for 10. For receiving, Devontae Burnett, 4 for 122 and 1 touchdown. Travell Harris, 5 for 60 and no touchdowns. Cedric Bird, 5 for 56 and no touchdowns. Ben Putman, 1 for 37, no touchdowns. And Justin Smith, 2 for 29 and no touchdowns. They lost 1 fumble by Justin Smith. He did also recover. Well, he fumbled, but he recovered it. And their defense forced no turnovers at all and only had 1 sack. So that was the area that was the biggest issue for them.
Look at the penalties. Look at the penalties. They had like 13
Oh,
penalties.
this is great, XFL. These are both red teams, and you try to both call them red.
Yeah.
Yards to play first time. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama.
There it is, penalties.
Oh,
12 for 3.
Yeah.
12 penalties for Houston.
And
3
there was
for
3,
DC.
and it was like 3 of them like personal fouls or unsportsmanlike conduct. So it's like 15 yards.
Oh,
added
yeah,
on.
they were
had like
getting
over
very
100
pissed.
yards
Wow.
of penalties.
It was not good.
Let's have one of our players on the sideline squirt a water bottle on a ref for no reason.
Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm talking about, Jordan Teyamu. Look at those yards. My
Jordan
God.
Tama'u coming out party, as we can see, 19 for 31, 245, 2 touchdowns, 36 long for his passing, was averaging 7.9 and had only 1 sack. Derek King, why does Derek King always have 1 pass attempt? They do some kind of stupid like
a gadget
every
QB for
time?
them. They use them like the Saints use Taysom Hill. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, he
But
was
it's
1 for
working.
1. Yeah, 1 for 1 for 4 yards. He probably has the highest passing completion percentage. He's always like 1 for 1 or 1 for 2 or something. 1 for 1 for 4 yards. No sacks. For rushing, Abram Smith, 19 for 95. Raquel Armstead, 8 for 26. And Jordan Tama'u actually negative 5 yards for 3 carries. For receiving, Lucky Jackson, 5 for 136 and 1 touchdown. Josh Hammond, 5 for 65. Ethan Wolf, 3 for 21. Abram Smith, 2 for 10. Brian Moore McKinney, 1 for 10. Michael Armstead, 1 for 4. Chris Blair, 1 for 2. And Alex Ellis, 1 for 1. They did not give up any fumbles, and their defense was only able to create 1 interception and 2 sacks. So a very offensive-heavy game that was really, really dominated by the Defenders being the better offensive team. The Roughnecks defense could not touch them whatsoever.
Yes, it was fantastic. Especially that touchdown pass for Jackson. That was an amazing play.
Houston actually has more. It's only a 4-yard difference. They had 360 total yards, with DC being 356. But it was enough. Like, that's the thing. That was like,
this was better than most of the Monday night games in the NFL, honestly.
Oh yeah.
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 Considering most of the Monday night games are kind of meh last year.
It was a rough year for primetime games. I think it all kind of went downhill after we had that like Colts Broncos game that was like 6-3 or something.
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ!
Every time I remember that in my brain, the absolute
cooked Matt Ryan versus a cooked Russell Wilson. How entertaining is that going to be?
Also, NFL is trying to entertain the thought of flexing Thursday night games for teams. It's gonna suck.
Meaning they would have 2 Thursday night games on at one time.
No. They would let the teams.
They
would
announced
the
Thursday night game Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I say Thursday night games should only be the first game of the season. Thanksgiving, and college football.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
But also, Mr. Bezos has a lot of this.
I know.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Oh God. Yeah. Oof.
Fuck.
But yeah, great game. One of the best XFL games we've seen thus far. Two unstoppable teams come at each other, and eventually DC getting the win, just barely, 26-37. Now we are going to go into our Week 7 predictions. Can you give us an update on the standings, Mastodon?
So, Lob, you are 19-7. Gorlami's 12-7. Sorry, you went 3-1 this week. Gorlami is 17-7. Went 2-2. Mamba went 4-1, so he's 23-6. I went 4-1. I'm 17-8, and Kaduff went 4-1, 18-4.
So I'm at the bottom, or is Gorlami's at the bottom?
No, I technically at the bottom because I have one more loss than Gorlami.
I'm not
Okay.
last. Yeah.
So it's you, Gorlami.
No, it's
You're at the
Mamba's
bottom.
first. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Just do like without saying numbers.
Mamba's first, then it's you, Lob, then it's Kaduff, then Gorlami, then me.
All right, I'll take
All
middle
right.
of the pack. Bronze
Alrighty.
medal.
Anyway, let's go ahead and look at week number 7 coming in here for the XFL. First off, we have Friday.
Games.
Yeah, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. The Seattle Sea Dragons travel to Arlington to play the Renegades. I'm taking Seattle in this one. They're my team as well, as Arlington came off an abysmal loss to San Antonio. I'm going to go ahead and give the Sea Dragons the win here by 10.
No surprise there.
Yeah. We'll go Macedon next and then Kaduff.
I gotta say Seattle by 7. They didn't look good, but Arlington looked worse.
Yeah, I'm gonna mirror you on this, Lob. Seattle by 10.
Ready? And then did Mamba send in his vote electronically or
not
not?
I don't
yet.
think so. No.
Okay. So if he doesn't, he doesn't. We'll just have to give him the mean of the week, I guess.
Yeah, we're
next,
gonna have Gorlami and Mamba for our listeners. They're gonna like send us our votes, and we'll find out what they did next week.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a way to get it working. Next game, Saturday, April 1st, the April Fool's Day game. Actually, there's 2 of them. 3 p.m. Eastern, San Antonio goes to play Vegas in Vegas. So if you want a joke, look at Vegas' stadium and their record and both of these teams. But anyway, San Antonio going to play Vegas. San Antonio's coming off a win. They didn't really deserve to win, but also they're playing Vegas. I'm going to take San Antonio by 3.
I don't want to watch this game. God damn it. San Antonio by 1 because they suck less.
Man, I feel like those Brahmas are gonna like try and coast off that victory. They're gonna like win by 6.
Alrighty, next up, DC goes into Orlando to play the Guardians, 6 p.m. Eastern. DC by 20.
DC by 18.
DC by 21.
Nothing else said.
Yeah, nothing needs to be said. And then
nothing needs to be said.
Another great game, a 2 p.m. Eastern Sunday game. St. Louis travels to Houston to play the Roughnecks. This one will be pretty good. Houston Roughnecks coming off a loss, St. Louis coming off a win. This will be an interesting matchup for these teams. It's the high-powered Houston team that is really great on both sides of the ball, especially their defense going in to play AJ McCarron, and the St. Louis team who's looked better, but their defense is still kind of lagging behind. So it's at home for Houston. I like AJ McCarron, and honestly, despite all that, I think AJ McCarron is going to step up and show out, and it'll be a 1-point win for St. Louis.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be an amazing. I'm thinking, I'm getting this feeling that it is going to be a amazing performance from AJ McCarron. We're talking 300 plus yards, maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns.
I'm thinking this will be a breakout game for AJ McCarron too. But I'm gonna go by 7 St. Louis as the last minute touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna go opposite of you guys. I think Houston might try and get a revenge win for their loss last week here, win by 6.
You can pick either team. There's no like, oh, why'd you pick that team?
Oh,
It's
of
like
course,
Yeah,
of
no.
course.
I can see either one.
Yeah, that could
Yeah.
go either way. The games I couldn't see going either way is the one right above it.
No, that's very obviously a defender's win there.
If Orlando beats DC, I'll eat a lemon. I will eat a lemon.
I'll eat one on camera.
Wait,
I will
about
go.
that?
I will eat a
I will
lemon.
go to my Stop and
Like-
Shop, grab a fucking lemon, and just eat it whole on camera. If DC,
You're
if
just
the
gonna be
Gardens,
talking like this.
well, that's the thing.
How did DC lose?
I also. It's funny because I used to like eat lemons a lot as a kid, according to my mom. I don't know why.
That doesn't surprise me, being a Patriots fan.
All right.
Used to the sour attitude you get from that cranky
You won't be able to hear the
coach.
clapping. You won't be here.
Alright,
You won't be
slow
able to hear the
clap.
clapping, but
All right.
Let me do my
Macedon-
Belichick.
Macedon is slow clapping on the side. One of the things, actually, well, then that we're on the topic of the Patriots, what did you think about some of the rumors that have come out about the possible firing of Bill Belichick if he does not do well this season? There was a interview that came out where Robert Kraft said nothing's set in stone. He wants Belichick to go after the overall all-time winningest coach record, but at the same time, he's like, we also got to be concerned about the team. What do you think about that?
It's getting to the point where I feel like it's showing that Brady was the main reason for New England's success, and Belichick kind of coasted off that. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from Patriots fans for saying that. But I mean, look at the history we've had since Brady left. I mean, like we had the nothing burger year with Cam Newton in 2020. We had a sort of decent coming out for Mac Jones in his rookie year, and then this past year where I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, putting Matt Patricia as an offensive coordinator, and just leaving all sorts of holes all over the secondary. It depends on how this draft goes. I think like if he drafts poorly here, and like trades down and picks up like a lineman that wouldn't have been projected to even go in the 7th round, then I honestly don't even know how to fucking react. The thing is about that interview too. He also said that Mac Jones isn't a set in stone thing because there's still the rumor floating around that like we might do something completely crazy and trade for Lamar Jackson, which actually because Kraft's like I'm a fan of Mac Jones, but
it's Lamar. I mean, the
Lamar,
biggest issue I see with Lamar is I don't think I've ever seen Belichick coach a very fast quarterback. And there's a different style you have to play with Lamar. He's not bad at passing by any means. He's an MVP for a reason. He's an amazing player. As a Bengals fan, I fucking hate him because he would run all over us and he'd pass all over us. He's an amazing player. But at the same time, all of the Belichick offenses have done so well, and even taken mediocre quarterbacks and made them pretty well, because I don't think the jury's not out on Mac Jones yet.
Exactly. And that's the thing about the quarterbacks too. All of Mac Jones, Tom Brady, Matt Castle, all the pieces we've had in the past, pocket passers, not mobile QBs. We've already tried the mobile QB with Cam Newton in 2020. That did not exactly work out.
That was an old Cam Newton. Ever since Cam Newton
but it's still mobile.
Ever since the Super Bowl, his game has just.
Also, that wasn't a like, oh, let's go try to win with Cam Newton. It was all right. If
it was obviously
good. If not, hey, we get a quarterback.
Like I said, 2020 was a nothing burger year, but at the same time, trying to go from, as we've seen with this offense, trying to go from a pocket passer like Brady to someone who uses their feet a lot more like Newton did, even if it is an old ass Newton, it did not work out very well.
Broken Newton.
Yeah. And then Newton's now talking that there's 32 guys better than me. I'm like,
let's look back at that meme that was posted a couple days ago in chat.
I'm back, and they're not.
I do have a coworker, like it's a Carolina fan. He actually tried to name some like starting QBs that like Cam Newton would start over. I'm like, all right, but here's the thing: what's their contracts gonna be, and what's Cam Newton's gonna want for his contract? Are they willing to pay for that? And then he's like, well, it could be a backup. It's like, or use them for goal line situations. I'm like, no one's gonna waste a running back slot on a QB for goal line situations. He's like, what do you mean? You can do plays. Like, no, you're just wasting a slot right there just for someone for one.
Yeah, and if I would rather want like someone like Josh Rosen as a backup than Cam Newton, honestly,
You don't want Cam Newton as a backup, I don't think. Like,
No.
I don't know what his film study ability is and his ability to replicate an offense, but also at the same time, he wants to start. And if you have a guy that's really yearning to start, that's going to be probably pretty toxic in the locker room when he doesn't get to play because he's a backup.
Oh yeah.
So
Multiple years of being a starter.
Yes, he's better than anybody in the Texans quarterback room right now. Like, yeah.
True.
So is AJ McCarron, honestly, at this point. So, like, yes, you could go play for the Texans. Do you want to play for the Texans, Cam Newton? I don't think so. Do the Texans want to get you? No, they don't.
Yeah, he could probably be outplayed like Brandon Silvers or somebody.
Nobody in the NFC North is worse than Cam Newton. Nobody in the AFC North right now with Lamar is worse than Cam Newton. Nobody in the AFC East, I don't think, is worse than Cam Newton. Tua and Teddy have both been great, even with one or two of them being hurt. Obviously, Mac Jones is still...
Zach Wilson. Zach
Wilson's
okay. Maybe.
We'll throw a maybe at Zach Wilson.
Maybe.
The AFC South... the AFC South. Texans, yes.
Just Texans.
Titans, Ryan Tannehill, he's okay. He's like Joe Flacco.
You are so iffy on that. I can tell by the way you're looking.
It's kind of that same Zach Wilson level, okay? Maybe they're all at the same level. And then after that, you have the Colts. Okay, he could have played on the Colts. This season. So I would say all the Colts quarterbacks that they had, I would say Cam Newton would be able to start there. And then Titans, Colts, Texans, who else is Jacksonville?
Jaguars have
not better than the Vikings. No. And then you go NFC. We look at the NFC North. No one there.
Wait. If you call Trevor Lawrence Viking, he's fucking Sunshine from Remember the Titans.
True. Sunshine.
Okay. Let's talk about anybody in the NFC North as Thor. Look at fucking how TJ Hawkins looks now.
Yeah. NFC North, no. NFC East, which is sometimes
Prescott, Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, then don't know
Taylor
about
Heineke.
Washington.
No, he's not
on Washington. He's not.
Well, I mean, he was. That's what I'm saying from last season. He was.
Which means Sam Howell
and Jacoby Brissett is on Washington now.
That's another iffy one. So right now we have Texans, yes. Colts, yes. Iffy on the Titans, Jets, and
Washington.
So that's saying 5. That's two that he's better than, and 3 that were. Excuse me. NFC East, NFC West, which is
NFC West is Geno Smith, Trey Lance, or Brock
Purdy.
No. And then there's also
Matt Stafford for the Rams.
No, Matt Stafford's still better. He's
Kyler Murray.
Well, Kyler Murray's going to be out most of the year for that.
Yeah, Kyler Murray will be out, but honestly, Trace McSorley looked okay. So we'll throw a maybe. If Kyler Murray's out, we'll throw a maybe. All right, we'll throw a maybe at the Arizonans.
NFC South. Who does Tampa Bay? Oh, Baker's on.
Baker, no, what Baker did, but his 3 or 4 games and
whoever the Panthers draft, Richardson or Young or Stroud, they'll be better.
He could go back to the Panthers. They don't want you, Cam. Saints, no. They just got Derek Carr, and they also had Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. Still have Jameis Winston. Even then,
Atlanta.
Okay, I could see Atlanta.
And then it's got Heineke and Riddler. So.
And I don't think they're going to try to pay for Cam Newton because they want to see what Riddler does.
Out of 32 teams, you are for sure better than 3 quarterbacks by our attribute, not 32. So
yeah.
And we're not counting when the quarterbacks that get drafted and think it's on the backups.
Yeah, and they're also getting paid a hell of a lot less than what you're going to ask for. So we'll go ahead and update the NFL free agency listing. So, K-Duff, why don't you go ahead and look at some of the stuff that's happened in the past week in the NFL free agency world.
All right, this is going from last Thursday, which was the fucking 23rd.
Or 23rd, I'm sorry.
24th. Yeah, so going from then, we have the Raiders signing Dolphins defensive tackle John Jenkins. Steelers are looking to bring back pass rusher Bud Dupree after leaked text on Friday suggests a return to Pittsburgh. And keep in mind, and just a little heads up, there's going to be a lot of wide receiver moves from this point forward. Starting with Lions wide receiver DJ Chark. He signed a 1-year, $10 million prove-it deal with the Carolina Panthers. We've got Broncos signing former Saints wide receiver Marquez Callaway on a 1-year deal. Patriots wide receiver Nelson Aguilar signed with the Ravens on a 1-year deal worth $3.25 million.
I love that. Like, oh, we signed Aguilar. Lamar, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to be throwing to his butterfinger.
Never talk to me. Do never talk to me again. You gave me Mark Andrews. Great. Nelson Aguilar's the next best option. I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah,
man.
Oh man.
I caught him. Unlike Aguilar.
Speaking of teams that needed receiving help, the Browns, they signed former Seahawks wide receiver Marquise Goodwin on a 1-year deal. Bucks signed wide receiver Scotty Miller. Bucks wide receiver Scotty Miller signed with the Falcons. Misspoke there. And Jaguars wide receiver Marvin Jones is going back to Detroit on a 1-year deal.
How old is he? Fucking hell.
He's been around since, I think, 2016.
He was on the Bengals when Andy Dalton... I think he caught a pass from Carson Palmer almost.
I would be
Marvin Jones Jr., is it?
No, maybe not. That's too far back for Carson Palmer.
Yeah. Let's see. Other pieces. Macedon, you're going to like this. Eagles extended right tackle Lane Johnson's contract to $33.4 million. 30 of that is guaranteed. That keeps him in Philly till 2026.
Yeah, it's worded weird. It's worded weird, but it's basically like I don't think like that 30 mil isn't that year. I think it's how it's spread out. It's worded weird. I tried to look it up, and it's how the contracts ran.
Yeah, it is worded weird because his contract before the extension was through 2025. So at first it almost looks like you're just paying $30 million for 1 year. Which
that's how they said it. It's just basically extension to saying like
that's still a lot of money for even though he's a very good tackle, he's very injury prone. He struggled with injuries the entire year. There was not one game he was fully healthy, I feel like.
It is a pretty steep price hike. Yeah. Let's see, going on. Panthers kicker Zane Gonzalez was traded to the 49ers in exchange for a conditional swap of late round draft picks in 2025. I don't know why looking that far out for a kicker, but whatever. Okay. And another
kickers will win you games. As a Bengals fan, good kicker will win you games.
But he's not a good kicker. Wait, or was he the injury one? That's right. Gonzalez got injured.
If they're trading him for something, there's something.
Yeah. And also, one of the biggest names in free agency that has not moved at all this year, Bobby Wagner. He's moving back to Seattle on a 1-year deal worth $7 million. Rams are also losing safety Taylor Rapp to the Bills on a 1-year deal. Lob, I don't know how you're going to like this or not. Bengals are signing ex-Raiders Sidney Jones IV on a 1-year contract. He's a cornerback.
Yeah, that's a prove-it deal. We need to advance our secondary, so we signed a cornerback. If he's good, he's good. If he's bad, we get him with a curve next year.
Yeah.
We'll prove it. Yeah. That's literally say, hey, you need to prove it, dog. Go.
Let's see, last other moves. Chargers announced they're looking at something long-term with Justin Herbert. Bengals also signed Vikings tight end Irv Smith Jr. on a 1-year contract. Yeah. So that's your Hayden Hurst replacement.
No, I think we'll draft. We're predicted to draft a tight end. I think the Bengals will pick up a tight end. If we can get that behemoth from Georgia, which I can't remember his name, but he pushed like 7 sleds a quarter mile in a second. Like, if we can get that guy, great. But I think there are some tight end prospects the Bengals are currently looking at that they could go for. So he could be this rookie tight end is bad. We need someone to fill the gap, but we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. Last couple minor other ones. Eagles signed ex-Saints defensive tackle Kentavious Street. This was announced literally hours ago, so there's no word on the length or value of it. Probably a 1-year deal, probably or 2, something like that.
They had late free agency. Most of them are like squeezing them in.
Yeah, and some Lamar Jackson news. Not only was it revealed that Lamar had requested a trade for the Ravens as far back as March 2nd, but the league also sounded a warning to teams not to discuss deals with him involving an individual by the name of Ken Francis. Because it turns out Lamar does not have his own agent. He has no agent, and this guy that's going around, Ken Francis, is his business partner that he sells fitness equipment with. So that's not just the NFL trying to like undermine Jackson trying to get a deal. That's just a legal thing. Like he's not a certified agent. That's just how the
Couldn't
way
that
the
be?
league is doing
Is that a criminal offense to impersonate somebody as a representative of them in the sports sense?
I'm
I
not
don't
exactly sure about that at a legal standpoint. From the NFL standpoint, it sounds like it's just not allowed, and that if any team does do this, it not only nullifies as the deal, but also could result in fines, whether it's monetary or in draft picks. I don't know. I guess it would depend on if a team actually does try to pursue this with Francis, but I don't know. And anyway, that's all I got really about it. But there is one funny thing that was showed out to me by Brandon Perna from That's Good Sports this week. So Jimmy Garoppolo getting a new quarterback for the Raiders, getting a tour of their facilities, and I guess they have this this mural on one of their hallways that shows all like their major events as a team. And he stops in front of this one, and I'm gonna just let you guess by the quote he says while looking at it. That was a fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Good old Tuck rule. Good
Which makes me
old Tuck
wonder,
rule.
that is one of the most embarrassing moments in your franchise's history. Why do you have that as a mural at your facility?
Because they
Like-
they know it was a fumble.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's a fumble.
Yeah. Even Tom Brady said it when he was talking to Charles Woodson in an interview. They're like, you know,
Yeah.
he stops out saying, that's a fumble, or in this case, an incomplete pass. And then they just laugh about it. And Charles Woodson in the back of his mind is like, that fucking son of...
Yeah. You just know,
Yeah.
like, Woodson's like murdering him in his mind.
Yeah. Anyway, let us move on to the final segment of this show today, our NFC South free agency and season wrap-up review and outlook. We're going to start with the New Orleans Saints. I would say for their season, it was really weird. They had injuries to the quarterback position. They didn't look great. People thought they were going to be great. I would definitely agree with you guys, and I would say a 2. They had to endure no Jameis because he broke his back, and then they had Andy Dalton, who was okay, but in some games he wasn't.
Yep.
And then Alvin Kamara had a year where he disappeared, and Alvin Kamara fantasy owners were
He's also probably gone next year.
very pissed off for
Yeah, that
drafting
assault
Alvin
lawsuit
Kamara
actually
with
has
the
legs.
second overall pick, and he did nothing. You son of a bitch. You did nothing. You did nothing for my team. I finished second in my league because you did nothing.
I think
Nothing.
I feel.
Where's
I
the
had,
pick?
I had Trey Lance as a backup QB this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
I went second in my league. I barely made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I was
You
in the
get
league
lucky
with Mamba
sometimes.
and a bunch of other guys
Dude,
from
I got
our gaming group,
fucking
and it was
lucky.
I was like fucking fifth in a group of 10. It was
So,
bad.
yeah, I would give them a 2. Their season was a roller coaster of pain and torture that was not great for any Saints fan to watch. But they did have some really developed rookies. They did some really good things.
Olave had a decent year, I guess.
Olave did up really well, and then when he was free from injury, they had what was Trevor Penning, who is asshole. He is a asshole, but God is he good.
Is he an asshole?
Oh, he got into fights with his like older teammates every practice to start the year off. Like physical, like helmets being ripped off, punches being thrown. It's bad.
Damn.
Yeah, like throwing older DBs like Tyrann Mathieu into the dirt in practice when they're wearing helmets and shorter pads only.
Not working out well in his return home.
He's older. He's not going to do as amazing like he was. He's not going to be that midfield threat to intercept the ball on every play. He's not that guy anymore, but he's still been okay. As far as the draft picks for the Saints go, they have the first pick, number 29 overall, a first round pick, number 29 overall, second round pick, number 40, 1/3, 1/4, 2/5, and 2/7, so no 6th. Pretty good draft pool for them. Obviously, a first, second, and third are good to have, as well as a couple lates. You know, you could get lucky. You could get a Brock Purdy. Who knows?
They do have the Mr. Irrelevant pick, actually, the last pick in the draft. So
they do. Very interesting. So they could do something with that.
Really good cap space too. 14 mil.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah,
at this time of the year.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, and they were able to even to pick up guys like Derek Carr, Cesar Ruiz, Saunders, and Jamal Williams. A lot of good
Jamal Williams
pickups.
is a good pickup.
Yeah, it's a great pickup. So we'll look at who they haven't re-signed yet and might not re-sign at this point. They might not be re-signed at all. Cornerback, Bradley Roby, Wide receiver Jarvis Landry, running back Mark Ingram, cornerback PJ Williams, strong safety Daniel Sorensen, running back David Johnson, tackle Ethan Greenridge, linebacker Chase Hansen, defensive tackle Albert Higgins, and linebacker Andrew Dowell. The names that jump out here, obviously, wide receiver Jarvis Landry, running back Mark Ingram, and cornerback PJ Williams. All three guys were pretty good. Mark Ingram is getting older. He's 33. Running backs past 30 tend to not go up. They tend to go down.
That is ancient. Also, David Johnson, who was part of that awful DeAndre Hopkins deal a while back.
Yeah. So both of them are probably not going to be re-signed. Also,
Probably not.
They have Jamal Williams and Alvin Kamara. You don't need another running back. You have a two-back rotation that is both of them are Pro Bowl level.
Well, I mean, that depends if Kamara gets suspended for a year for that salt charge.
Yeah, that is still going on, and that could be a really big issue. But, I would definitely say maybe re-sign PJ Williams. You got $14 million in cap space. Maybe give him a 1 year and go deal. He's 29 years old. That's still a good age for cornerbacks. Mm-hmm. I would definitely say that could be something to look at, something to keep. Everybody else, they're a little bit younger. You have a 26-year-old linebacker, Aaron Dowell, and 25-year-old defensive tackle, Albert Huggins. So I mean, they've made a lot of moves that they've made. They still have some room to make some, but of the free agents that are out there right now, I don't know if they would. But I definitely think re-signing the PJ Williams to secure that secondary, who looked a little suspect, I think would be a good idea to go forward with.
Yeah, I also forgot Sorensen was now on the Saints.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he left the Chiefs.
Yeah, Sorensen is 33, so you could see a 1 year deal, but are the Saints to win now with Derek Carr? Maybe
not. I wouldn't say so. I mean,
and if they are, why wouldn't you sign recently Jarvis Landry, who still is a pretty good option at the wide receiver position, especially at a wide receiver 2 now with a lot of their younger receivers. Olave, taking off.
Yeah, you've got Olave still kind of new. Michael Thomas can't exactly stay healthy.
And so here are all the moves, either to or from the Saints. The biggest one, Derek Carr, being signed for a 4-year, $150 million deal, from Vegas to New Orleans. They had defensive tackle David Onyemata leave for Atlanta. Outside linebacker Caden Ellis leave for Atlanta. Defensive tackle Shai Tuttle leave for Carolina. They brought in defensive end Nathan Shepard from the Jets. Davenport has left for Minnesota, who now has probably one of the scariest pass rushes in the league.
Yeah.
Probably
one of the worst secondaries.
Yeah. So maybe their option is, hey, fuck it. If we can sack the quarterback every play, we don't know, no need.
Lewis Seen, you better develop, man.
Yeah. Kalen Saunders left, came from Kansas City to New Orleans, defensive tackle. Jamal Williams, another big signing, came to New Orleans from Detroit. Andy Dalton has left for Carolina. Wide receiver Deontay Hardy has left for Buffalo. Safety Justin Evans has left for Philly. They re-signed cornerback Isaac Yadam. Lonnie Johnson, the cornerback, has from Tennessee to New Orleans. They got Jonathan Abram, the safety, from Seattle. Their wide receiver Marquez Callaway has left for Denver. They re-signed linebacker Ty Summers. They have gotten Storm Norton from the Chargers.
That is a really cool name, I gotta say.
Yeah, Storm Norton. That is a good one. Who's the running back? Contavious Street has left for Philly, defensive end. Wide receiver Brian Edwards has signed for Kansas City, and they've re-signed defensive end Malcolm Roach. So some pretty good moves. Again, great move for Jamal Williams. I don't know why Detroit let him go. Maybe they couldn't pay him, but also why wouldn't you pay him? Derek Carr is a great signing. Also, David Onyemata, a defensive tackle, leaving is not a great sign for them either. And the biggest one that hurts is Marcus Davenport, who was the key to their pass rush. And now he's on a team with so many pass rushers that I think Rodgers wants to leave because of that. You don't want to face Davenport and
get me out of this division. I don't want to be sacked every other play.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to one of the other teams in the NFC South. Let's see which one first shows up.
Probably Carolina, if it goes alphabetical.
Oh, it does.
Why not Atlanta?
I passed over them. Carolina Panthers. There we go. Update. All right, Carolina Panthers season. They were one of the worst teams in the league. They got a high draft pick. They did get rid of Matt Rule. I don't know if I would give them a 0. I'd probably give them a 2, just like the Saints. They were kind of in the run, but also now they've also traded for the first overall pick by getting rid of DJ Moore, which was a pretty good wide receiver, but at the same time, you've picked up some other pieces along the way. You've got some
a lot of other pieces.
Right. So I think the season end for them was bad, but also at the same time, it wasn't the worst ending. They weren't expected to do much. They were expected to be bad, and they were bad. And they ended up getting a very high draft pick out of it, so I would give them a 2, honestly.
With Matt Rule, 0. After they got rid of Matt Rule, at least a 3.
Yeah, I have
they
no
did get
idea how
better.
they lasted as long as they did after Matt Rule got fired. But
They almost won the division.
well,
It was a shit
the
division.
South this year was a shit show.
Oh yeah, it was a shit show. But where did Donta Foreman go?
I forget.
Chicago.
Actually.
Oh yeah, right. It is Chicago. So yeah, that
Yep,
was a hard.
Chicago.
That was their like diamond in the rough. He was.
Yeah, well, they also made it clear last year, like they were dismantling a lot of pieces. Like I figured they were going to move on from Brian Burns too at one point after the CMC trade.
I mean, they have, but they've also brought in a lot of things. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't think they're in win now mode by far. They're definitely rebuilding. Probably
clearly
drafting.
not. I mean,
yeah,
look how many
draft.
holes they need to fill with this draft.
Yeah. So
and they still have cap space.
They have the first overall pick. Then they have the 39th overall in the second round, the 93rd in the third, and then they have 2 fourths, 114 and 132, and 1 fifth, 145. So definitely have the first overall pick. That's probably gonna be a quarterback. We're looking at CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, probably. I don't think anybody outside of those two is going first. I think it's one
I don't
of those
know. I
two,
mean,
whoever they
Anthony
like
Richardson
more.
has been shooting up the board out of nowhere too.
Oh yeah, but like Zach Wilson looked like, you know, Joe Montana during his pro days. You know, you got to look at everything else, and you look at the, you know, C.J. Stroud and what he played against, and Bryce Young and what he played against. Obviously, Bryce Young in the SEC, C.J. Stroud in the Big Ten. Those are the biggest conferences in college football. The pressure's been put on them. Bryce Young has rose to it. C.J. Stroud has failed because he can't beat Michigan because he's a losing son of a bitch. So they're probably going to take Bryce Young. So I was really hoping C.J. Stroud would get drafted by Indy because he could be able to play for Indy in the first time since you never got to a Big Ten championship, you fucking loser. Anyway,
I say this though. People
What?
hype up Alabama quarterbacks. The only Alabama quarterback that's actually gone decent is Jalen Hurts right now in the NFL.
Okay, if you're saying decent, Mac Jones is decent. He has made a Pro Bowl. You can't say anyone who's made a Pro Bowl is not decent, at least.
Yeah. Okay. So Mac Jones and then Jalen Hurts.
The only verified superstar who was in the top half of quarterbacks in the league is definitely Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't put Mac Jones in the top half yet, but he's just outside of it, I think.
I'd say so. I'd probably say he's in the top 15, and that's being generous still.
But that's over half. Half is 16. So we might be in the best half. Maybe is Jalen Hurts top 10 quarterbacks in the league right now? With Brady retiring?
I mean, after his performance last year, I'd say
Mahomes, so. Brady's gone, Rodgers, Burrow.
Herbert,
Justin
Herbert.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Herbert. If he doesn't, if
Josh Allen, that's 5. Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm not saying top 5. I'm not saying top 5.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of other. Besides that, not Derek Carr. Not Geno Smith. Not anyone in the AFC South. Not anyone in the NFC North besides Rodgers, who we already mentioned.
Well, we can't put Tannehill in the top 10.
No, we can't. We can't put. I mean, can you put Lamar in the top 10? He barely played last year.
I guess we could. It would be a low one for him, though.
I don't. Low. Last year's performance, I would put him in the latter half of the top 10. So yeah, I would honestly put Jalen Hurts at 6, maybe 7 right now in the NFL.
I think it'd be jockeying position with Trevor Lawrence in that regard. I'd say.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is young. Trevor Lawrence is young and upcoming, and so
he actually has a coach now.
Yeah, with Peterson.
He's looked great. But I mean, New England doesn't. Yeah, New England. I mean, yeah, so maybe they both are kind of top 10 quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts closer to the top 5. Mac Jones closer to the bottom 10.
I'd probably be okay putting Mac Jones at 10. Or 11 if we had to go that way.
Would you? Regardless of outside issues, which is already an issue, would you take Mac Jones or Deshaun Watson? If outside off the field issues were not a thing.
If it was off the field,
not off the. If it's just football, that's it. Deshaun Watson. I will admit that one.
I think I would still roll with Mac. Honestly, I personally would.
The Homer. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the Panthers free agents signings and non-signed free agents.
And they still have 27 million after that huge spending spree they've had.
They have a lot left over. So players that they haven't signed back yet: defensive end Matthew Iodanis, tackle Cameron Irving, center Pat Effelin, linebacker Damian Wilson, wide receiver Andre Roberts, wide receiver Rashad Higgins, safety Sean Chandler, safety Justin Burris, cornerback Justin Lane, and guard Michael Jordan.
No relation.
Not shooting guard Michael Jordan. He did not transition to basketball. Or from basketball.
Somehow he's 25 now.
Yeah.
He
He
discovered the fountain of youth in retirement.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't know who any of these guys really are because not many of the Carolina Panthers games were advertised that well because they sucked. So
it's not that Cam Irving. That's the tackle, is it?
Maybe he's 30, so he's been around a while.
Ask it in Google.
My kind of thought process too is like make sure they do have an O line for when they get there first.
Yeah. You want an O line, to make sure your quarterback is actually playing football and not keep away from death. You also have some young guys here: a 26-year-old safety, a 29-year-old safety, a 25-year-old quarterback, and a 25-year-old guard. You could probably get them for decently cheap.
Yeah, these are probably just like guys they've used like later round picks on the past couple drafts.
Probably.
And that are about ready for their next contracts. Next couple drafts, think like they were drafted last year. Look at 29-year-old guys like that can't be right.
It's good.
I think the only weak one I could see there was Andre Roberts. I mean, a 35-year-old wide receiver that isn't exactly a household name. I mean, that's
and now they've actually made some big moves. They have signed Adam Thielen from Minnesota. They have signed Miles Sanders from Carolina. They signed Von Bell from Cincinnati. For Philly, sorry. Von Bell from Philly and Hayden Hurst from Von Bell from Cincinnati and Hayden Hurst from Cincinnati.
Have another beer, Lob.
Yeah. They signed Shai Tuttle from New Orleans. They re-signed center Bradley Bosman. Signed Andy Dalton from the Saints. DJ Clark, wide receiver from Detroit. Sam Darnold has left for San Francisco. That was probably a good move for them. They lost Philip Walker, backup quarterback, to Chicago. Inside linebacker Corey Littleton has left for Houston. They have lost Donta Foreman, who was their best running back, to Chicago. Justin McCray has joined them from Houston. Deshaun Williams, defensive end, has joined them from Denver. Henry Anderson has re-signed with the team, as well as kicker Eddie Pinheiro. And then Miles Hartsfeld, the cornerback, has left for San Francisco. So great moves. Again, D-line, great move. Von Bell, great move. Hayden Hurst, great move. Fuck you. They also brought in Andy Dalton, who's going to be a great guy. He's an older quarterback that's been around the league. Is going to really be able to pour into this new quarterback that's upcoming and really be able to help him out. They got rid of Sam Darnold. That's great.
I'd be happy to have Andy Dalton as a mentor if I was a new quarterback.
Adam Thielen, Miles Sanders, Von Bell, Hayden Hurst, Shai Tuttle. That is a hell of a free agency pickup. This man was cooking. These are all 2-year deals too. So if they don't pan out, they don't pan out. But
who is their GM again? And he's had a decent year so far.
Federline.
Federline.
Because there was a joke. You're an entry did a jokes like Federline's seat must be on the fire for getting all these pickups and then trading for that number 1 overall.
Scott Fitterer,
wheeling and dealing. Really great job by Carolina this year.
It's not like they don't have good players from last year. They have some pretty good players still.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of teams that have not very many good players.
Yeah. Now hold on. Not a lot of people know about this guy, but Jake Matthews is amazing. That is the son of the all-time greatest center of all time, Bruce Matthews.
Is it?
Yes, it is. Jake Matthews is an amazing left tackle. Doesn't get any love because he's not protecting any big-name quarterbacks and he's not playing for a good team. But he's getting paid. He's being paid 12% of the entirety of the Falcons' payroll. $28 million in cap hit. The Falcons do have $22 million left over in cap, so they have a lot of things to move. But
I also completely forgot about Boston College boy Chris Lindstrom up there, who just got a big payday.
Yeah, Chris Lindstrom got there. Kyle Pitts is going to get a pretty payday, even though last season was awful for Kyle Pitts. He went from an amazing season to now being so we'll
Part
see
of
how
it was
that goes.
coaching, part of it injuries.
Yeah,
I think
I'd
they're
definitely say
not
kind of an average grade for the whole NFC, South at
South.
2. Their season, the
Oh.
Falcons' season was they didn't play Riddler early enough. They didn't really move forward. They lost a lot of close games. Their team
And that
just looked
defense,
like it
my
didn't want to be
God.
there. Yeah, their defense was bad. The only good spot being Grady Jarrett, who the biggest thing he was known for was getting that call against him for a late hit on the quarterback, pass roughing the passer, which was an awful call.
Oh yeah.
It was an
Yeah,
awful call.
You breathed on Tom Brady, 15-yard penalty.
Oh,
You're supposed to cradle Brady and then go suck his dick.
yeah.
That's how you not get roughing the
Yeah.
Thank you, your name tree.
A 2, honestly, out of 10. It was a rough season for the Falcons, but it has been ever since they faced the 28-3 allegations. So, anyway, they have the 8th overall pick, first round, the 44th overall pick, second round, a third rounder, number 75, 2 fourths, 110 and 113, 1 fifth, 159th, and then they have no sixths and 2 sevenths, 224 and 225.
I wouldn't be surprised to go too heavy on defensive draft because, like we said, it was atrocious last year. They have a new defensive coordinator with Dean Pease retiring, so I feel like they're going to do a little bit of overhauling on that side of the ball.
Yep, sure. I would not be surprised if this pick number 8 they're trying to get a surefire pass rusher or a surefire secondary player, cornerback, safety, what have you. So, but again, you have a great limelight in Jake Matthews, who is an amazing left tackle. And you just also signed Jesse Bates, who could end up being a good safety. And Kyle Pitts isn't done. He had a bad season, but that could be turned around. And you never know what Desmond Riddler could become. So we'll see what that goes. Then we'll look at who they haven't re-signed. There's actually a lot of names on here. Olamide Zaccheaus, wide receiver, has not been re-signed. Rashawn Evans, linebacker, has not been punter Bradley Pinion, safety Eric Harris, wide receiver Demary Bird, tight end Anthony Frisker, guard Elijah Wilkinson, defensive tackle Vincent Taylor, long snapper Bayer Brinkley, wide receiver Kale Cadrell Hodge, inside linebacker Nick Kwiatkowski, tight end Michael Pruitt. What are these names? Defensive tackle Jaleel Johnson, guard Colby Gossett, and defensive end Matt Dickinson. Yeah.
Wait till we have people.
West Virginia University.
Wait until we have people in the draft like Henry Tutu or Q Blue Kelly. There are some weird fucking names this year.
Yeah. But I would definitely say Olamide Zaccheaus was one of the pretty good wide receivers this year for them, even though his name is hilarious. And then linebacker Rashawn Evans was one of the bright spots on that defense. As well as Bradley Pinion is a good punter at 28. So probably sign him if you can. I would definitely also look at Zaccheaus and Rashawn Evans and try to maybe sign them to a 1 or 2 year deal, kind of a prove it deal maybe, to see if they're going to move forward. Because again, Zaccheaus is 25, Evans is 27. They're going to be great for a rebuild. They're already pretty young and they've already proven themselves to be decent players in this league. Why not bring them along for a rebuild? As far as other things goes, Bird's 30. No. Frisker is 28. You already have Pitts. You have Elijah Wilkinson, the guard, is 28. I might want to re-sign that. But then everyone else seems to be a little bit older and maybe not set up for a rebuild. But I would definitely say Zaccheaus, Evans, and Pinion definitely should be things that the Falcons are considering and probably offering, at least for Zaccheaus, because he's been a great little pickup for them. So
Pinion you get for cheap. It's not like
it's a punter. Punters don't get a ton of money. Without further ado, let's move on to
the books.
I mean, yeah.
They made it into the playoffs. They shouldn't have been in the playoffs. It was Brady's worst statistical season.
I will be honest.
The worst rushing offense
old
in the
ass.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette looked like a geriatric grandmother running the football. Like, if
I was running the league,
Ryan Jensen wasn't healthy. Tristan Wirfs wasn't healthy.
If I was running the league, I would have honestly just disqualified the entire NFC South and let the fucking Commanders over the Bucks. It was bad.
I wanted the memes. I wanted Dallas to lose.
Honestly, I wouldn't have minded having the whole FC East, and I want to see how cutthroat the playoffs get with the whole division in it. We could have had that if the fucking.
I think it would have been funny if Brady would have been able to turn a switch and carry the whole team on his back. However, his back is also 59 years old at this point.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can't. He couldn't have done this core, or like he had a lot of pieces that were injured, getting a little bit old.
Yeah. So now this team is now entering a weird rebuild mode where they have old guys that were on the team with Brady and young guys that were just good enough to play with Brady, and now they're in this middle zone, and they have Baker coming in, and it could explode at any minute.
Yeah.
This is a time bomb. They only have $3 million cap space.
Yeah.
And most of their cap space is being paid to either wide receivers or linemen. I mean, they have Tristan Wirfs, who's going to get a ton of money when his deal is up. Ryan Jensen, who's already getting a shit ton of money. Those guys are going to be going to places they want to go to. Vita Vea, who should be paid $7 billion. One of the best defensive tackles of the modern era.
Scary motherfucker.
Chris Godwin, Shaquille Barrett, and then Mike Evans, who, besides having a bad year last year, is still an amazing wide receiver that any quarterback would love to throw to.
Kevin White, too. He and Barrett were like a terror as a linebacking duo.
Yeah. So this is a time bomb. This is a landmine. And eventually it could explode and their players could be sent to the far reaches of and the Bucs could be back to their 0-16 days. But as far as the draft, they had the 19th overall in the first round, a second round, the 50th overall, and a third round, the 82nd overall, 2 5ths, 153 and 175, 3 6th, 179, 181, and 196, and then 1 7th, the 252nd pick. They're free agents that they have not re-signed. Tom Brady, retired.
He's retired.
He's 45 years old. Wow.
No.
An amazing career for him.
Just go away.
Yeah. Left tackle Donovan Smith, defensive end Akeem Hicks, running back Leonard Fournette. Why is he 28?
He's already gone. He's gone.
He's 28 and playing like that? You're kidding me. All right. Tight end Cameron Brate. Wide receiver Julio Jones, who he should retire. He can't stay healthy. He's a great receiver, but it's just William Golston, defensive end. Kicker Ryan Suckup, which is a pretty good kicker. He's 36, but yeah. Backup quarterback Blaine Gabbert. The failed experiment of Kyle Rudolph, which Josh Wells, who ended up actually was filling in pretty well for Wirfs here and there. Former Bengal Giovanni Bernard, Brashad Perryman, defensive end Carl Nassib, and Logan Ryan. So they have Donovan Smith, who's pretty good. I would definitely try to re-sign him.
Yeah, but I was like, who's that defensive end on the bottom?
My head's blocking it. What's it say?
Oh, Jannard Avery, defensive end as well. Sorry about that. So the thing is, they don't have much money to re-sign anybody. They're not going to re-sign Fournette. He looked awful. Julio Jones is probably retiring. Ryan Suckup, they could get if they want a kicker, unless they're probably planning to draft one if they want. But then you have Akeem Hicks and Donovan Smith. Akeem Hicks is 33. You're probably entering a kind of sort of maybe half rebuild. I don't know. And then Donovan Smith, left tackle. He's 29 years old. Let's look at his market value.
God damn.
Yeah, you can't afford that.
And for a left tackle, that seems a bit expensive.
He is. Yeah, he's 29 and he's pretty good, and he's been holding up that left side of the line for Brady for a long time. Has been doing well at it, so he could have a good amount of value for a lot of teams. So I don't think you're gonna be able to re-sign that. I don't know if you'll be able to re-sign anybody here unless you want to get Suckups back. So
like a kicker deal that could work for $3 million for like 1 year, and then maybe try to restructure something when you have more cap next year. But
Cameron Brate is just unlucky.
Yeah, Cameron Brate. They probably might have to draft a running back if they can't re-sign Giovanni Bernard or Fournette. So
yeah. Oh, no.
They have who do they have? They have this really good running back out of some random college that ended up playing very well for them.
Rashad White.
Yeah, Rashad White. Yeah.
Oh,
he was great. He was great.
Not about
White. Pretty good.
Yeah, he just wasn't given enough time to like do anything.
And that O line being injured.
Yeah, Jensen was out except for the final game of the season. Tristan Wirfs was out and in and out and in, and then they also had Jake Wells had to play left tackle a lot. Because
and let's not forget, you stole Alex Kappa from them.
Yes, and I love Kappa, and he was great, and sadly he got hurt as well. But
also they have Todd Bowles as their head coach.
That also was a thing.
Yeah.
Also, Byron
Yeah.
Leftwich had a major regression as a
The
offensive
Buccaneers are just above the Rams in the oh fuck, it's about to get bad moments.
Yeah.
Because the Buccaneers still have like Mike Evans, Shaquille Barrett, and Jovita Vea, and Jensen, and Tristan Wirfs, and Baker Mayfield. But then, it could all disappear at one moment. The Rams have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
And I guess Aaron Donald, but he was kind of a non-factor.
He was a non-factor last year, which was weird because he was so dominant the year before.
Yeah, he was making more headlines getting in fights at practice than he was on the field.
Yeah, it was like, so this could all, for Tampa Bay, this could just fall apart any second. So I would not be surprised if they are going to enter rebuild mode and declare cap space. They might start trading away some guys. Teams that are looking for some good players, like Mike Evans, maybe.
I could see Chris Godwin getting traded mid-year.
Yeah, for draft picks, for something, for cap space. I don't know, because they paid Brady a lot of money, and it's hurting them now. But they got a ring out of it, so how can you complain?
Yep. You got the ring, now pay for it. It's basically the same case that LA's in, and who knows? Maybe we'll talk about them next week or something. I don't fucking know.
Maybe. But that brings us to the end of our Football Stooges podcast. We're going to be working a lot harder to get the episodes out to you earlier. We're going to now work on a Friday schedule, I believe. The episodes are recorded on Thursday nights, Friday mornings in this case. So we'll get those out to you a lot quicker. It's been a rough week for me. I'm now the one editing them now that I've used a little bit more time than Mamba had because he's been a busy boy recently. So, but for myself, for Mastodon, and for K-Duff, thank you for tuning into the Football Stooges. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Make sure to leave a like and follow us wherever you find this podcast or video. Leave a question or comment in case you have anything that we want us to cover next time. Enjoy the free agency season. Enjoy some good XFL football because it's starting to kind of close down.
Let's go MLB opening.
Fall asleep at an MLB game if you want. Drink some beer. Yell some stuff at a ump and get tossed.
Fuck you, Ryan Brazier.
All I know is the Reds suck, I think. I don't even know if they won their opening day game. We have Joey Votto. He's like a fossil at this point.
Because the fucking owner does not want to win. He's like, oh, yeah.
It'd be worse. You still could have Marge Schott as an owner.
No, I don't know Artie Moreno. And I don't care.
Artie Moreno.
Yeah.
But there's a whole video about it. I'll send her to you.
Yeah. But thank you for tuning into the episode. We hope you enjoy it. Have a good night. Enjoy the football. Enjoy the free agency. Enjoy the draft. It's coming up. It's going to be April in a few days. And most importantly, run the damn ball. Have a good night.
See you in it.